September, October. We were going to go to Greece and we were going to make a baby. It was going to be awesome. We were going to Europe. We were going to have a massive holiday and a great time. And if it worked, it worked. And if it didn't, it didn't. It didn't matter, and we weren't going to discuss if it didn't work. The other thing I needed to address was how was I actually going to manage this project. So I decided the simplest way to approach this was how I approach my work. I work in advertising. It's pretty brutal. It's pretty unattractive most times. But I was going to treat this like one of my campaigns, totally unemotional and totally operational. I was going to lay out the plan. I was going to do my critical path of my spreadsheets. I was going to implement the strategy, and I was going to execute it. And that was all there was to it. I wasn't going to think about it, and I wasn't going to get emotional about it, because it wasn't going to add to the experience. In fact, that would detract from the experience. So I decided to make myself adhere to this. I needed some rules. And I needed to learn how to drive this Porsche that I was renovating here with this thing going on here. And the most important thing about the journey was I had to learn how to change gears. I had to learn how to drive that car properly. It was going to be a very long highway, and the first pit stop with the steepest road was Athens. So what were the rules? Respect your driving instructor. That's number one. Do what he says, when he says, how he says, and don't muck around with it. He knows best. Use his map only. Google is no good. Lots of idiots on Google. Lots of bad drivers on Google. They don't know what's going on with your car, and they just don't know what they're talking about. So don't get on the internet. Don't check out Google. They're not qualified instructors. Road rules. Learn the rules. Don't try to change the rules. Just become automated. Take your hormones when you have to and don't even think about it. They're just tablets. Doesn't matter. It's like taking vitamins. Drive safely. Best drivers are calm drivers. So keep yourself really calm. No emotional attachment at all. You don't sit there when you're driving the car and get terribly emotional about anything. You just do it. So stick with that, and no negative thoughts. In fact, no thoughts at all. Just looking forward, looking down that road. Driver fitness. Exercise to manage your physical and emotional fitness, and to manage anything that might come up. I personally did a lot of yoga. It was very, very helpful. And it could be really extreme when I wanted it to be, but it could also be very gentle and quite soothing. Car servicing. Nick is your mechanic, and only Nick. Car servicing is pretty boring when you talk about it with other people. Most people aren't interested, but they sort of have an opinion, and generally that opinion is a poor opinion. So really, you should be mindful about how you discuss servicing your car and whom you discuss it with. And that leads me finally to your pit team. Pick a few key people to share the experience with who bring something to your journey and who bring a valued position to that journey. And then you're pretty much good to go. So, apart from applying the rules of preparation, of those rules that we just talked about, eating my hormones, making my appointments on time, all I had to do, if I put those rules into place, was get on a plane. And that's what we did. Athens was sort of hard to get my head around. I hadn't been there for 20 years. I loved it when I was there, but right now they were going through massive issues with the EU, massive unemployment, huge elections. And I didn't know what it was like. And I didn't sort of know what to expect. I knew it was the centre of democracy as we know it, but it was weird. And this time I wasn't backpacking living out of a combi van. This time we were there to do something far greater. Once you get there, as Nick said, the time frame is about 10 days. You may need an additional 10 days if the first cycle doesn't sort of go your way. So they sort of say to give yourself 3 weeks, and it can make it pretty frustrating because you just don't know what you're going to do when you're there. So what I did was I planned a couple of mini trips to do in and around Athens on our down days, and then a couple of other things that if we ended up having a week or so, a couple of other journeys that we could do, so that we were busy all the time having a fabulous time. The key focus was not just Genesis. We were trying to make it a really great experience. The clinic is in the suburbs, we decided not to stay in the burbs. We stayed in downtown in sort of the cool part of Athens. I booked an Airbnb apartment for 3 days and then I left the rest to the gods. So we ended up having 3 different apartments in Athens in different suburbs, and it was crazy. And we just jumped on the train every day. It's 9 stops from the main train station, and then you just jump in a cab. All the cab drivers know about Genesis and they get terribly excited when you say you're going there. It's bizarre. And they love it. They totally love it. So it was very easy to get in and around. The metro is so easy in Athens, and it's quite pleasant to actually take it. We arrived on a Saturday, hung out at the Acropolis on the Sunday, jumped on a train on the Monday, 9 stops later in a cab ride, there we are, we're at Genesis, the centre of our hopes and dreams. So Monday morning it was super busy, and this is what you've got to get ready for because it's crazy. We were seen, you sort of get there and there's people everywhere, you just say you're here and you're one of Nick's patients, and before long you'll be seen to. You'll be upstairs, downstairs, getting blood tests, getting scans, back upstairs. You know, it's nuts. You'll meet pants off. And he is a delightful man. He's a very, very gentle soul. He's a busy man. You'll probably only get 10 minutes with him, but he asks you all the right questions. And again, we really enjoyed meeting him, and he listened. He was terrific. It was a little bit like being a rock star. We knew that we were getting VIP treatment. We just didn't really know what we were doing. And all of a sudden, 4 hours later, we were sort of done, and we were told to come back in a couple of days for sperm donation, or whatever you call it, which is down in the basement. It's all hidden. So we came back on the Thursday to meet the same professional team. They were absolutely fantastic, and I think by the Thursday they'd really warmed to us. You know, the Greeks, like, they just quietly become nicer and nicer and nicer the more time you have with them. They're fantastic. What you do need to take with you to Genesis is patience. They do things differently over there, and again, it's pragmatic. They're busy, so if you want a touchy-feely, beautiful, warm, you know, experience, get ready, because there's a lot of people there with a lot of stuff going on, and everyone's equally as important. And these are busy people. They are there helping everyone with their issues. So you're just part of that. So just go there with that open mind and be ready just to go in all different directions, but just go with it, because they care about what they do. Mrs. Dane said to me, "We're going to make you baby. Don't worry." I was like, oh, okay, crazy. Right. She was incredibly lovely. Anyway, after that day, we went and did a couple of touristy days. We had a great time on a boat and all sorts of things, and went to Delphi and whatever. Came back, did the sperm donation on the Thursday, jumped on a boat and went to Santorini for the weekend, and we got a call the next day saying 7 of our 8 eggs were looking A-OK. So that was awesome. We then had a great weekend on the motorbike, zooming around that island, and we were asked to go back to the clinic at 1 o'clock on the Tuesday for a transfer that day. And it was as simple as that. You know, it was a 10-second phone call. Yeah, you've got 7 great eggs, we'll see you on Tuesday, sort of thing. So anyway, Tuesday morning back in Athens, we get back on the train, back in the cab. Cab driver's excited again that we're going to Genesis. At about 1:30, a civil lawyer comes in with an interpreter, and this is something that you need to know about. You are signing, you are adhering to EU law when you're over there. So you have to you are contractually bound to European law. You need to be very clear on, if you have some extra eggs, what are you going to do with them? If you and your partner split up down the line, whose eggs are they? You know, do you want to donate your unused eggs to research? There's a lot of questions that Nick can take you through, but you need to have your ducks in a row, because you have that window to sign that document, and it needs to sit really well with you. We were very clear with what we were doing with that. So we signed, and then we waited. And then around about 4 p.m, ensconced in our little private room watching daytime TV, a nurse comes in and it starts. So with my legs in the air, Pantos comes in with a second nurse, and we're underway. Within 10 minutes, it's pretty much done. Within another 30 minutes, I'm back on the train and we're having a late, lazy afternoon lunch under the Acropolis, celebrating one of the biggest things that we will ever do in our life. 9 a.m. the next day, Carlos and I flew out to Rome to enjoy 10 days in Italy of just laughter and fun and being totally in love and happy with our decision. On my return, I flew in at 4 a.m. I got a blood test at 7 a.m. Sharon called me the next morning at 9 a.m. and we got the best news ever. It was just so unbelievable. In fact, we then shifted into second gear because we were pregnant, and the rest of the journey, I can say, was actually more challenging than Athens itself because it's longer and you have to wait. So that's when my rules really kicked in, and I stuck to those rules by hook or by crook because they got me through. Anyway, lastly, 2 weeks ago, on the 29th of April, our twins Iggy and Lucy were born by Caesar. A little bit early, but beautiful nonetheless. And the reason I've gone first tonight is because we have to go and take our milk to the hospital and feed them tonight. So it's a great result. And all I can say is working with Nick and Dr. Pantos and their teams has been one of the most incredible experiences I'll ever be privileged enough in my life to go through. Carlos and I were treated so well. The simplicity of the process, the professionalism, the integrity is just unbelievable. And all of that is actually in stark contradiction to the simplicity of it all. And I just can't, I can't stress that enough. Don't overcomplicate this. It is simple and it's wonderful. So I thank the team. You're amazing. You've changed our lives. Our donor, who we'll never meet, but what an angel. What a wonderful 18-year-old woman that is. Hopefully she's at university studying, which is what we heard she was doing when we got her eggs, her precious gift. Our lives are forever better, and now we can enjoy being the parents that we actually never thought we were going to have the opportunity to be. So I thank you. I hope all of you have success, and I wish you the best. If you want to contact me to ask any questions or reach out for whatever, I'm happy to chat it through. I really am, and you can get my details from Nick. So good luck.